Greetings, and welcome to the Soul Citizens. I am Griffin Gaming RPG, and we are back for another fun-filled week. I don't have Kalrati. Kalrati, did you drop out and come back?
I think I did about 10 minutes ago.
Okay, we got to put you back in, my brother, because that's not good. Oh my God. Okay, let's get Kalrati in, y'all. We cannot leave Kalrati out of the show.
There he is.
There he is.
Yeah, I love his background.
He's back.
Yeah, I can't even remember how I got it. I think I just stood somewhere and just recorded it. yeah, that's the wreckage on Hurston now.
Well, welcome again, everybody. It's good to have you guys back this week. We are continuing in our series on careers, and the one we're picking up on this week is one called Data and Intelligence. And I want you to realize that we've got some talented people that are joining us today. Some good friends of ours, F and J. I would call them Funk and Jam, but you guys know them better as Fist and Jawa. So Fist, welcome.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
All right, and your buddy Jawa. Jawa, you've been back. This is your second time with us, right?
Yes, sir. Had a great time last time, Griff.
Awesome. Well, we are happy to have both of you guys on. We've got the peanut butter and jelly here this time, so we're happy about that. Yesterday, if you guys didn't see them, they were both on with Paul Shelley on Captain's Table. They had a great show yesterday, so you guys be sure to check them out. Go over and visit Paul's folks. Wow, somebody's kicking us out. Drakazog, thank you so much for that sub to Fist and Jawa. So thank you for kicking us off. Whammer says thank you too. We appreciate that. Okay. Listen, we're really looking forward to having these guys on. As I mentioned, our topics today is data and intelligence. And one of the things that's cool about having both of them on the show is that they both have Drakazog, thank you again for that resub. That's for Mad Style. Hey. Mad Style, thank you, Mad Style. Good to see Mad Style. Mad Style's been with us forever. Good to see you, Mad Style. Nice. And you get the Whammer too. I can't leave Whammer out for you, okay? All right. One of the things that we're excited about is that both Fist and Jawa both have real life military experience, and we're going to be talking about from their perspective what some of these definitions are. But we're also going to be doing a little bit of theory crafting. Data and intelligence has not been something that CIG has given us a lot of information about. They've given us some ships, they've implied some things, they've given us an idea based on the trailers, but we want to talk about what we do know. And then it's going to probably be a little bit of theory crafting going on, but we're going to have fun with this show. So for those of you who are thinking about being sneaky or doing intelligence things, this is the show for you. Also with us today is our newest member of our team, back again for his second. This is your second show? Third show? Second. Okay. Kalrati, good to have you, man. How are you?
It is great to be here. Thanks, Griff, for inviting me.
Well, you said this was one you were interested in, so we wanted to have you here. Yeah. Drastic Fire, thank you for that sub. And Jeff Bob, thanks for the follow. Thank you guys both for that.
Thank you, people.
Yes. Okay, let's dive in and let's talk a little bit about this thing of what we call data running, but CIG actually uses a term of both data running and thank you, Fist. Wow, Fist, thank you guys so much. Thank you for those 5 subs. Wow, thank you for helping out and gifting some folks. Y'all give them some love. Send them some love, y'all. Those of you who benefited, send them some love. Let's talk a little bit about this. CIG has talked about data running, and another term that's been used. Oh boy, there's the hype train going. Oh my goodness, Rise, thank you, Rise, for that tier 1 subscription. Thank you for 6 months. We appreciate you. I can't get past this first paragraph. I don't know. I'm trying, guys. I'm trying. Data running and data transport, right? Let's talk about this a little bit. Captain Grinch, thank you for the follow. Thank you. A lot of people have thought a lot of different things about this with the data running, right? And one of the definitions, and I got this from the Star Citizen wiki, it says data transport is an upcoming career in Star Citizen that will evolve around collecting and transporting data and trading it. Data will only be able to be transported by designated data running ships that have the ability to store it. Data will either be collected through exploration by recording uncharted parts of space, or by downloading it from another server and can afterward be traded. Is that, oh boy, who's giving us the raid? Oh my God, Buster.
Woo!
Buster, sweet Buster. Thank you, Buster, so much for that. We appreciate that. Buster, by the way, you guys, Buster had a really great stream today. Drakazogs, thank you for that gifted sub. We appreciate it. I know. Buster, thank you, Drakazog, as always. Buster had a great stream today. It was her first one that she was doing with a new group of folks. It was Paul Shelley. She had Disco Lando. She had Maiden Ariana. They were doing a whole Star Trek theme thing, and it was really great. And her opening was really good. I have to give her credit. She actually opened up. It's like, the D&D kind of thing, but they opened it up, and their starship flew in, and it was great. I was like, okay. She put her foot in that. Yeah, it was on. So you guys check it out when you get time. It was really good stuff. Okay, I've gotten distracted again. So let's talk about data and transport a little bit. Fist, let me start with you. When you've heard the community talking about this, or when you first heard about it in Star Citizen, what was your impression of this whole data running thing?
So, I don't know. I've always associated it with the MSR more than anything, but I didn't really put two and two together at first.
Hey, thanks for the subscription.
That it was gathering encrypted information, storing it. Oh, look at the hype train.
I know they're going to make us hit our thing tonight. She's OP.
Man.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Will. Thank you.
That was awesome. But so it's really what I gather. It's gathering information, probably from a distance, and intercepting communications, transmissions, or something else, and then storing it on your secure server, and then selling that information, whether it's good or bad, or illegal, legal, whatever. And it's definitely something we do in real life.
Okay.
Except for flying spaceships.
Right.
Definitely things that we definitely have aircraft that go out there and do that. We have ground stations for that. We have agents in the field doing that kind of stuff. So I think it's something that I'm really interested in doing in the game, and it will really give my MSR a purpose.
Okay.
So
Nice. Jawa, how about you? When you first heard about this data running thing, what was your initial thing to it? Oh, we got to mute it. We lost you.
Muted.
There you go, buddy.
Yep. Yeah. Well, I had a barking dog in the background.
That's okay.
But I thought of it as another loop in the game, like everybody else did. But I thought of it more as data is money. That's how we get like Hurston may sell some kind of data. It may be security, it may be all sorts of other stuff to Crusader, or they may send people over there to steal data from Crusader so they can get, so their business can benefit from it. That's the way that I was looking at. So, yeah, that's basically what I thought of it.
Okay. Kalrati?
Oh man! So when I first heard about data running, it started to answer some of my questions of how or what CR envisioned data to come, how he envisioned that data to be gathered back in Microsoft Freelancer. Because for those who played Freelancer, they would remember that when we went into a bar, bartender AI would give us information, be it from a location or so, and they would sell us that information. And when I heard about data gathering and that and data running in Star Citizen, I was like, okay, are they going to start fleshing out the ability to gather coordinates? Because that was the kind of information that we got in Freelancer when we bought that information from the bartenders. But now it's evolved into a whole slew of things. So I'm curious to see how in depth it's going to go, but that was my initial thought as to what data running and data gathering was going to be.
Okay, very cool.
That's a really, really good example. And we were talking about that yesterday, Griff, was bartender and where a lot of missions and stuff will come from, and that'll probably end up being a job board. Because it's a Chris Roberts game. There's definitely going to be something going on at the bar. And yeah, it brought up a lot of freelancer memories for me, and going talking, we run this place, that kind of stuff, and
wow,
it's a really good point. I think we're definitely going to be able to sell stuff probably to a bartender at some point.
Yeah. Mad Style, thank you. Wow, for pushing us up there. 5 more subscriptions. Y'all send Mad Style some love. He always gets the forever love here. Thank you, Mad Style. Yeah, in fact, CIG let us know when they put Wally's in that there is a specific bartender that's going to be there who will be giving out information. The question will be, who is that person, right? Rice, thank you. Oh, wow. Rice, thank you for 5 subs again.
Nice.
You folks are amazing. You guys hit our goal tonight, right? Oh, wow. Thank you guys so much. That's amazing. And we'll talk about that goal with you guys doing that, because our 100th anniversary show is coming up in 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. So the 2nd of April, I'm sorry, the 3rd of April will be our 100th anniversary show, and we're going to be giving away a Hull C on that show for our anniversary.
Nice.
So, and that's because of what you guys are doing right now with the subs. As you guys know, we take everything that comes in, spin it right back around, put it out to the community. So thank you for that, and good luck to that person who gets the Hull C on that show. So we'll look forward to that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, well, Thrakazog, what are you guys out trying to outdo each other? Holy smoke, Thrakazog, thank you. Thank you. All right, that went to Fast Card. Fast Card doesn't need one. He's a part of the team. You get a refund from him, Thrakazog. Get a refund from that guy. He doesn't need one. For me, of course, depending on when you came into the game, I'm sure some of you guys were through the earlier part of the game, but the very first ship we got where that came out was that Herald. And I remember, people were excited about that, right? I mean, you don't hear people talk about the Herald too much now. I do think the Herald's going to come back in its own. I really do. But it was a big deal when that ship came out. People made a big deal about it because it's supposed to be asymmetric and all that, but that's a whole nother story. But it was an exciting idea, this thing of being, as you mentioned, Jawa, being able to make money, in doing this type of career. And one of the things I think that's great about Star Citizen is that, and I was frustrated in games like Eve, where Eve advertised you could do, like, let's say they said there were 10 different careers, right? You could be a trader, a miner, into combat, you could be an entrepreneur, you could be Nope, you fought all the time. All you do is fight. And even if you wanted to focus on something, fight. And I'm not saying that's not going to exist to a degree in this game, but I do feel that careers are fleshed out better. And if they put as much energy into smuggling or data running as they have done into mining, and the same thing in medical, oh my God, people who go into these careers will have so much to do. And I'm hoping, like you said, Fist, that they kind of create this whole, going down those dark alleys of R-Corp, right? And meeting somebody back there at one of those tables that none of us ever visits, right? And there's somebody there with some great intelligence information, right? Or having to go a certain place. So it's all types of things they can do. We can get into scanning ships and stealing information, all types of stuff. But we're going to get to that in a minute, because I do want to let these guys talk about these next 2 subjects, which is intelligence and surveillance. And I want to make sure that, they can help us distinguish the difference between the two. Ruka Rebar, thank you for the follow. We appreciate that. Let's talk. Go, Joe.
Yeah, well, I don't know about, not you guys, definitely not Kalrati and Griff, not you guys, but intelligence, that's not Fist tonight. So, yeah.
Well, no, come on. You guys will have some good stuff to say. You guys will have some good stuff to say for it.
Yeah.
I know that.
Yeah. That's one of the little things I did in the Marine Corps right at the end of my career.
Okay, was intelligence. Okay, well, let's give them the generic definitions, and then I'm going to get you guys thoughts on it, okay? And mind you, this is just a dictionary definition of a gang. It's not military or anything. It's just a general definition. It says, what is intelligence? It's knowledge of an event, circumstances, etc., that's been received or imparted through news or information. Does that sound like a pretty generic thing, Fist, when we say something like that about intelligence? Okay. Mm-hmm. And give us some feedback about ways that intelligence can come out in Star Citizen. What would be intel, right? Because there's a difference between surveillance and intelligence. What would you consider intel?
Well, I mean, real intel. Let's go off real world, right? Real intel, you have your collection people, right? and then you have your processing people, then you have your analysts, and then it eventually goes down to your operators, right? So I think what we're talking about here more is collection of intel. And so real world, like I was telling Griff before the show, I worked on a program where I would go downrange in Afghanistan, and we sent up a drone, we sent up a Reaper, and it had a bunch of cameras on this pod, and it could look at up more than 20 different things at the same time, and it could zoom in and zoom out, and it would store all that data, transmit it back down to the ground, and then the processors would look at things, submit them to the analysts would go over it and be like, hey, we think this bad guy is in this building, and then it would go out to the operators, and then they go blow it up with a plane or have ground forces go in. And I think it's going to be around the same thing. I think it'll be highly org involved for some stuff. It's a really good way to get, especially with bigger things down the line, bigger missions, or maybe tied into reputation and things. But I definitely think we're going to be sitting outside of an asteroid belt and trying to listen in for some kind of signal, and then drilling down. Hopefully it'll be through a mission, and then going back and selling things back to whoever the mission giver was. And I honestly think the pirate side, the illegal side, is going to be the more fun intel gathering. But then again, the much higher risk, because we're probably going to end up spying on the UEE or something like that. And I could see this going into because all these systems intertwine with each other. They're all tied in. So I could definitely see all kinds of different aspects coming together and having missions built upon missions, and then just keep going and going and going. And the idea of that is amazing.
Yeah. Okay. Jawa, any thoughts about this intelligence piece, intel?
Well, I'm going to go back to like the business standpoint of things. Excuse me. I did do some. It was more surveillance with the Marine Corps. So, but you got Hurston Dynamics, the maker of the attrition. Now, maybe another manufacturer either wants to steal the tech from that because it's good tech, or they want to build shields around it that it's not as effective against a ship by figuring out the tech and trying to make their shields more effective against like the attrition or the dominance. So I could see getting something from companies saying, hey, go get this intel for me. And I think that maybe, everybody says, oh, it's the bartender. Well, what about the coffee girl, the barista? Maybe she may be seeking some of that stuff too. So,
that's a good point. Kalrati?
She's our back alley contact.
Kalrati?
Well,
oh yeah. So I was thinking about it for a few days now, and coincidentally, this lovely thing called quantum was brought up back into the community, and that kind of sparked something. And I was wondering, all right, the ability to gather intelligence, or rather the definition of intelligence when it comes to the game itself, can be defined in terms of the player side or player to player communication, or NPC or AI to player communication. And I was thinking, okay, given that quantum is going to dictate the events or the dynamism of the universe, I was wondering if intelligence can be gathering information on, let's say, clues on something that's going to start an event. Let's say an org is thinking of, all right, being part or participating in something, or waiting until these NPCs leave this area because there are some indications that quantum is dictating the start of something. So maybe, just maybe, if you are a data gatherer and you're looking at this and gathering this intelligence on the activities of these orgs, these NPC orgs, then when a certain event clicks and occurs, then you can communicate or send that in that intelligence or that sell that information to interested parties that will be interested in looting or raiding that base or that location, or even killing these NPCs because they went here. So that's how I was actually viewing the this definition in terms of how it's going to interact or how it's going to exist between players, and how it's going to exist between NPCs and players.
Yeah, that's cool. I was thinking about how can intel be used, and Kalrati, you're kind of going down the road I was thinking in the sense of how does this intel connect to other things in the game or trigger other things in the game. So you guys remember when they did the vertical slice, the latter part of it, this is after the Mark Hamill flight and everything. Remember he went to this like hangar bay and he was sneaking around, but he was able to listen in on the conversation of the people that were there, right?
Yeah.
You know, and I'm thinking about how there could be something as simple, and again, let's take into assumption that intel gets built out, right? Like we were talking about the MSR, the Herald, those being built out. But what happens if there's also these devices that they give us? Like, you know how mining has a little mining device, there's some type of recording device, and you're able to hear a conversation. You got to be there at the right time to catch it, right? They tell you to be a certain place, you overhear this conversation, you take that information. That same thing could happen, as you mentioned, Kalrati, with a dynamic event. Maybe there's something that Nine Tails is building up to, right? And if you go there enough, you find out that something is imminent, right? And you can respond to it beforehand or imminent, but you go back and tell your folks to prepare for it. You know, I mean, there's all types of cool things that they could build into this whole with quantum, you know, but players have to be willing to, like you said, these are missions, these are things that we do, but also really impact the world. And depending on how we respond to those things, the world responds dynamically back to us, which would be really cool. Fist, were you going to say something? I thought you were going to drop in on something.
So yeah, so I think that would be, so that's kind of like a scouting type of thing, because Kalrati was talking about possibly starting a Jumptown event, right? So you're out there in that data collection role / intel role, looking at what's going on, relaying information back. Hey, if we take out this group of guys or this guy, then, and they're producing drugs, then we're going to be able to have all these drugs be available. Boom, Jumptown type event starts, right? What I was thinking really was to tag on to Jawa's stuff, where he's talking more about corporate espionage, right? And while I think that will be a thing, it got me thinking about if we end up doing something like that, right? We listen into whoever, Crusader, you know, they're talking about their next generation shield or weapon, right? And could that eventually tie into crafting? And if we're able to craft a shield, but we have to go get this intelligence from these 5 sources first or whatever, because I definitely think everything's going to be tied into a mission system. In order, you have to do these 5 things first before you're able to get this blueprint to craft this custom shield, size 1 shield for your ship, and it's going to be better against distortion or ballistic or, you know, something like that. I still think that at the end of the day, this game, while it's going to be very complex, is still going to be very much an MMO, like all the other games. So that just kind of got my head turning a little bit, because no one ever really talks about crafting anymore, but it's probably going to be a thing towards the end of the alpha. And I think intelligence and these type of intel missions are going to play a real big part in that type of gameplay. Fizziness, you made a good point here in chat. Fizziness says there's a whole other type of intelligence that isn't necessarily grounded in the game or the game engine systems, but human intelligence. For example, players from one org infiltrating another to get intel on their plans for movement or expansion. Those of us who old Eve players, God knows we know about that. You know, security and who you let in and what type of information gets passed on. You're absolutely right. That's outside of the game mechanic, but we do know with orgs and people who want to set up base a certain place or do certain things, or even it could be something as simple as a group of us that want to go mining. You know, if you're sitting, I was just thinking about how, you know, you guys already know this stuff, so I'm preaching to the choir, but you know how we've got all these eateries, right? All these places you can eat in the game, right? You know, Jawa, we're at that coffee shop you were talking about earlier, and we're waiting on our friends to show up, right? We're waiting on people to show up. And some of us are role playing and we're using the in-game chat because we love the fact that we can hear people talking and blah, 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 blah.
but then we start talking about, I'm loading up this whole sea. It should be ready in 45 minutes to pull out, right? Somebody overhears that, right? Or maybe I'm setting somebody up by putting it out there, right? I mean, there's all types of cool human interactions that could happen. Yeah, that's a trap, right? So there's all types of things. I hope that they do make it so that, and I hate to say this, it would be cool if all communications did happen in game, because when you are able to be outside of the game and talk, man, there's so much stuff you miss out on. Because if you were in real life sitting in that coffee shop, you would be sitting there with your ear, kind of leaning to the side, trying to hear what somebody's saying. That would be kind of cool. Let's go to surveillance, and then you guys can give me some more elaborations here, because we talked about intelligence. Surveillance, generic definition: continuous observation of a place, a person, or group, or ongoing activity in order to gather information. Jawa, does that sound within the wheelhouse there for surveillance? Constant observation kind of thing?
Yeah, because I remember going into the S4 office. It was right before the Gulf War, and they were kind of testing me, I guess. They handed me a loop. They had a big picture on the table, and they're saying, "What do you see?" So I started looking around. Oh, I see troops, and I see this, and I see some SAM sites. And they go, "What? SAM sites? What? Where?" I said, "Well, that's what those big missiles on that truck is, right?" And, yeah, and all of a sudden somebody's running over, getting on a phone, talking to somebody real quickly, and they're saying, keep looking. So that was really neat that you got to take a look at things. And now the military has drones that they can send in and do surveillance that way. I know we're going to be getting drones in the game here to do different things, help you land or whatever. But taking it one step further, it would be nice to be able to send out drones on a planet's surface and say, find all the rock minables, or find all the rock minables that are Haydnite, or put them out and say, find the Quantanium.
A beacon into an asteroid belt that finds Quantanium for you and signals when it gets there. That'd be awesome. Oh my God, that'd be awesome. Okay, very cool. Fist, any thoughts?
Isn't that what the Carrax drones kind of do? They're kind of probes.
They are. I know they've talked about them in relation to trajectory for finding a belt or finding some type of anomalies in space. I don't know if it'll be that accurate where we could program to the point of, like you said, I'm looking for diamond, home in on all the diamond in the belt. Maybe it will be, it'd be cool, but it cut down search time a lot. But we do have those drones coming. Oh yeah, they sure will cost a lot of money. Yeah, but we do have them coming in. Fist, any ideas about surveillance? Any thoughts about that?
I think so. What I was mostly talking about was all surveillance stuff, and certainly that is a branch of overall intelligence. But yeah, I mean, it's. I think that's probably the biggest thing that we're going to end up doing is surveillance stuff. Besides intercepting data transmissions, we're going to be looking in, and that example, I don't know how to say, physician. That was such a great point, bringing up the infiltrating other orgs outside of the game. Hey, Griff's org's got that Pioneer. It's a rare ship. There's only so many Pioneers out there. Let's steal it. How do I get into his org? And then you're telling people, and then you just have your org coming in and smashing them down. You steal the ship. Yeah. Let's go build this outpost, guys. Whatever. And that's part of surveillance too, right? I mean, it's scouting. It's really like being a spy, right? Yeah. But the potential
is a lot.
is enormous, and I wonder what, at least initially, I don't think we're going to see everything before the game releases. I think we're going to see intelligence stuff scoped, right? And then we will see, eventually down the road, right? We'll see a beta and a release, and then there'll be expansions which encompasses a lot more of the careers fleshed out. So we might actually get that role of being able to infiltrate xenothreats, and that's 20 missions. You know, you got to get into it and things like that. I think that'll be I don't think that'll be initially on release, because that's going to be just a massive undertaking of coding and stuff. But
yeah,
I do think that the game has the potential, and it definitely has the funding to be able to go further into these fields. And I just wish we had more information about what their scope is, what they really want to drive towards prior to release. What are we going to be able to do? So
good point.
yeah,
I want to go to something that Shimpasa said. Is look at Admiral Kusanagi's kind of responding to it, but he asked a valid question, and it's not just in relation to drones, but he says, do drones not take away from group play, since SE really wants to discourage people from being solo? And I think that there's a dynamic of striking a balance. The CIG is always going to be doing. It's like a tightrope they've got to walk with that. They can bring in automation into the game, but at the same time, they can't make it so automated that, you know, you just can live in the whole world and never interact or have the need of other people. So I think that drones, and I think Admiral mentioned it here, the drones have to be controlled by somebody, and you can't pilot your ship and do the drones. So you're going to have somebody on your ship who is not only sending those drones out, but monitoring where those drones are, positioning the drones, pulling the data. A good example of that is a ship like the Orion. The Orion has 5 or 6 individual positions that are all very distinct. You cannot take an Orion out by yourself in mind. It's not going to happen. And so that's going to be built into ships like the Carrack. And people will adopt those roles. But that's a very good question, because I think, you know, there is a concern. I remember on Reddit not too long ago, I think it was Reddit or Spectrum, someone was saying that they want to be able to, you know, fill their Javelin with all AI and fly around the game. And it's like, that's not going to be happening. You know, yeah, it's not happening. Yeah, it's not happening. Okay. Okay. We gave us a nice little overview talking about intelligence and surveillance and data running. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the ships, because, you know, that's what Star Citizen is, right? Star Citizen is ships. So let's look at this for a little bit. We started out talking about this one earlier. Kalrati, why don't you do a little read here on the good old Drake Herald?
Cool. Right, so the Drake Herald. The Drake Herald is a small armored ship designed to safely get information from point A to point B, featuring a powerful central engine for high-speed transit and generating the power needed for effective data encryption or containment, advanced encryption software, and an armored computer core. The Herald is unique among personal spacecraft in that it is designed to be easily cleaned when in danger of capture.
Can do that wipe in no time flat, right? In no time flat. Yeah. Any of you guys, Fist, do you own a Herald? Have you ever owned a Herald? Interested in a Herald, or are you satisfied with your MSR?
Yeah. So I bought one in game prior to the wipe.
Okay.
And it's so this is our solo intel ship, right? You know, and I think it also has an EWAR suite on the Herald, which the MSR doesn't have. I believe the Herald can do EWAR as well as the Sentinel. But I mean, it's what do we call the other thing, Jawa? It's a Caterpillar engine with a cockpit in it. Yeah,
there, right there,
with a Hurricane cockpit on it. Yeah.
I think this is perfect if you want to do solo data running. This is the ship for you, because you're not going to be able to it'll be hard to do it in the MSR without another real life person. I think you'll be able to do it with an NPC, but it'll be harder because you'll be able to coordinate better with real people. But yeah, this is that ship. Although I don't think I've ever really taken it out into combat. So I don't know. It's meant to run. It's got that giant engine. It is really a fast ship.
It's fast. I used to run box missions. I used to run box missions in this thing when I wanted to get out of the atmosphere back in the day when the atmospheres were much higher. Dude, you're out of the atmosphere in no time flat, man. No time flat.
Yeah, I used it to get out of Crusader.
Yeah,
much better.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's a neat concept. Yeah. I really do. I actually really like the design. There's only like 2 or 3 ships I don't necessarily like, but you know, I mean, Yes,
Mhm.
and just the fact that it reminds me of something like The Expanse, where it's just
Mm.
you're gonna be jam back in your seat and hoping they put that anti-G stuff in your system, you know.
Yep. Joe, how about you? You got a Herald? Have you ever flown one?
I just test flew one there
Okay.
for a while.
Mhm.
It's just test flying the different at IAE,
Mhm.
and I was just going, man, look at this, because took it off. I was okay. This thing moves pretty good. Hey, let's see how it does in Crusader. And yes, I was very happy with it. So, and I'm along with Fist. That this is the little one man, small signature, um, uh, infiltration data runner. I mean, this one you could sneak up to maybe a comm satellite or something
Mhm.
and plug in
Mm.
and kind of hang
Mm.
out there and listen, or hang out in like the radar shadow of a bigger ship
Mhm.
and be able to do the same type of thing. And then if somebody spots you and they come after you, well, you just gun the engine and you're gone.
Mm.
So
Mm. Kalrati, let me throw a different question at you. Do you think there's a possibility that CIG could have a ship like the Herald that literally can extract information in some form? Go up, pull up to a comm array, maybe pull information from there, or even from a ship. It can hack. Maybe there's some, because they've got all these panels and controls on these things, right? And it's got to be for more than just pushing a button and this. I'm assuming that they're going to create something when it comes down to data running, getting information, stealing information, that there's probably something going to be built into these ships that, if somebody on there, I'm picking around, so the Idris, right, happens to notice something that pops up on their navigation thing saying, hey, somebody's trying to hack into our system or something. You think CIG could come up with some stuff like that type of gameplay?
I think so, and plus it's the right size. I say that
Mm.
because a lot of the professions, for example, mining, salvaging, they all start at smaller ships, even though we'll have much larger ships at first, for example,
Mm-hmm.
and they do that to test the compact experience using a smaller ship. For example, it's coincidental that you mentioned that because a few times, and this also ties into what Fist had said using a keyword of spy a while ago, and Jawa when he was talking about mining and rocks and those things. A few times I was at the refinery,
Mm-hmm.
and building blocks will be it will successfully reward and also successfully punish someone depending on where you are.
Mm.
Because I had a friend waiting outside in their Drake Herald. And the thing is with building blocks is that you can see what the person is interacting with on your
Right.
kiosk.
Right.
So I was there right behind the person. I wasn't interacting with their console, but I can see that they were storing the Quantanium on whatever ship
Mm-hmm.
at the refinery, and I was just telling the person in the Herald outside of the space station, I think it was Arkel 1,
Mm-hmm.
okay, look out for this ship if it spawns. And I don't think,
Mm.
I can't remember if the scanning of that patch was working or not, but
Mm.
when the person had finished, I was just there, just
Mm-hmm.
acting as if I wasn't even observing, and they ran away, and I was just telling the person, okay, look out for Herald, it was a Connie.
Mm-hmm.
And I often thought more and more about what else we can actually do using that kind of information. For example, okay, how could the Herald be used to get any kind of information from that ship in
Mm.
terms of, all right, if that person in that Connie were to set coordinates, can we get coordinates
Mm.
by infiltrating in some way the ship's computer system,
Mm-hmm.
so that we'll know, okay,
Were they
we can
locked on?
communicate. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we can communicate with somebody else who has a faster quantum drive that can get to that destination faster or intercept them before they even get to their trading location. So that was just an incomplete experience that gave me a lot of ideas about how the start of spying in some way
Mm-hmm.
to gather information we can already have building blocks.
Interesting. Interesting. Yeah. Well, I melted my Herald a long time ago, but I love that ship. It's very fast. Everybody says it's great in a straight line. Forget about the turns. I also be real curious about how much your fuel costs will be after you run that sucker for a good distance. But I hope, and Fist, it's funny that you mentioned about the E-War package, because I forgot that there was, I think you're right, there was something that they were building into that ship, because it's got computers all over the place on front and back of it,
It does have it,
Mm-hmm.
and so if you're looking at a ship to hack.
Wow, TV Liquid. Oh my God, TV Liquid with 87 viewers. Thank you, TV.
Liquid.
TV has hit us a couple weeks in a row. Thank you so much, TV. Welcome, everybody. We're talking. Welcome to Soul Citizens. We've got special guests here, Fist and Jawa. Kalrati's with us tonight, and we are talking about data and intelligence. So, not that we're intelligent, but we do have data. So if you guys want to hang out with us tonight, we appreciate you being here. And again, TV, thank you again. Thank you so much. 07 to you as well. So yeah, Fist, go ahead. We're going to say about the E-War package.
So I'm looking up some of the old basic stuff of E-War. EMP is part of E-War, which is why you see it on the Sentinel, but I think it's temporary. Once E-War is in, then you're not going to have EMP on the Sentinel, but you're able to data spike missiles. So someone shoots missiles on you, you have someone in the back of that Herald. Oh, let me data spike them. They're going to turn around and shoot the guy who shot them. Distortion of power flow to components of ships. That's basically hacking the ship.
Yeah.
Of course, signal intercept, and then there's other special stuff to do. So, yeah, I think if you want to hack, the Herald is going to be probably the ship, two-man ship type stuff. So
that would be amazing.
Yeah,
that would be amazing.
I mean, E-War is a concept we don't really talk about because we don't necessarily have anything coming. But the potential on that stuff. The Herald is going to sell so well once E-War stuff comes out, as well as the Sentinel. People are. I mean, those things are going to be going by the truckloads. So super awesome concept.
And I love it. Again, it's another career. It opens up more for people to do in game. I'm this whole thing they've been talking about. We've had CIG talking about this whole thing with hacking and stuff that's coming up. And I really want to see not only how we deal with this hacking, like me personally walking up to some box or door, but I want to see how these ships and the equipment that's on these ships can be utilized to do that. And man, Kalrati, that idea you were talking about just being able to just be in the right place. And can my ship, whatever the package is I have on my ship that allows me to scan this person's navigation system and see where they're going. Oh my God. But that person has the option to buy a certain level secure thing that they can put on their computer to block your, there's so many cool things that they could come up with, right? Which would be really cool. Really, really cool. Who's that? Sudanik, thank you for the follow. For Everin, thank you for the follow. And Five Fool, thank you guys for the follow. And Whammer says thank you for the follow as well. All right, that's always got to let Whammer say it.
So Griff Chat had a couple quick questions I think we can answer. Papadopoulos said, when is data running going live? I don't think they've ever announced when data running is going to go. They did have hacking on the roadmap. It was supposed to come in 3.16. They took that off. I think it's coming this year because they started talking about the hacking tool at ISC and possibly doing hacking, being able to hack open a door to steal someone's ship. But that's just part of it. It's not really data running.
Right.
And then someone else was asking about the MSR. The MSR doesn't have an E-War suite. It's in the Intel pipeline, but it's there to, it's going to have bigger data storage capacity.
Right.
So I could see it sitting off not too far from a satellite, pointing, someone sitting in that seat,
the dish,
and pointing that antenna at it, and just sucking up data, and then you're going to go sell that data. It's not really a surveillance type of stuff, except for electronic communication.
Yeah.
You guys kind of touched on something about hacking. What do you think of it? Because we get interdicted from time to time. Guy pulls you out of quantum, and then guy in the back of the Herald goes, "Oh no, you don't." and just kind of, because you cannot engage quantum again until that gets shut down. So, well, if he's interdicting you, you can say, "Okay, oh no, you don't." Take that off, and then shut his quantum drives down.
Yeah, you hacked the wrong guy. Yeah, you hacked the wrong guy, right?
Or better yet, you could, if he does that to you, you could just kind of, okay, well, we'll just turn on your self-destruct then.
I gonna take me
So-
alive.
Okay.
So,
Uh-huh.
we're talking a lot about the Herald and the MSR because they're in the data running pipeline. However, neither one of those ships is stealthy, and
Mhm.
I have put full stealth builds on both of them,
Mhm.
and they, because of what their job is, they're gonna have really high EM.
Mhm.
It's inevitable, right?
Mhm.
When you talk about surveillance,
Mhm.
now you're talking about Hornet Ghost,
Mhm.
Eclipse,
Mhm.
Saber,
Mhm.
right? You're talking about stealth ships, which is not data running. It's a totally different side of the intel coin.
Right.
I think they had a really good video. I think it's the Eclipse trailer,
Mhm.
where he's someone's on the ground with a sniper rifle,
Right.
and they're just sitting there. And I think one day we're gonna have stealth armor, by the way. And he's sitting there looking at his scope, and he's like, okay, I see all these targets, and then he feeds that intel back to the Eclipse, who comes in, no one sees him, boom, boom, drops a couple size 9 torpedoes, bam, mission over.
Done deal. Yeah.
That kind of tying into each other is gonna happen, and that's really exciting.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. My guys were telling me that my microphone was way louder than yours. In other words, I was being too loud. So I'm hopefully that's better.
You sound great to me.
You know
You
what
sound great
happened?
to me.
Yeah,
You
sorry,
were
guys.
kind of perfect, yeah.
I didn't have them all the way up. That was my apologies. Okay. Well, you know what? You just mentioned about the other two, but there's a third ship that we're talking about today. But we'll go to number 2, and that's the Terrapin.
Yeah.
This is an interesting ship. When this first came out, I was kind of like, that's kind of weird looking, but I've actually grown to like this ship a lot.
Yeah.
Cute little turtle.
Yeah, really.
Yes.
Yeah.
The turtle.
Yeah. Jawa, any thoughts about the Terrapin? I'm sorry.
I think
sorry.
it's
Before you get started,
Anvil's answer.
before you get started, Jawa, before you get started, let me get Kalrati to read the description. My apologies. I'm ahead of myself
okay.
here.
All right.
Go ahead, Kalrati. Tell everybody about the
Sure
Terrapin.
thing. All right, so the Anvil Terrapin, aka baby cute little turtle, presenting the Anvil Aerospace U4A-3 Terrapin class scanning/exploration ship. The Terrapin was developed near the end of the 20th century to serve as the first ship in the Empire's defensive restructuring of the Navy. The Terrapin's watchword is protection, with extensive shield systems and armor layers designed to provide the maximum possible defense for pilot and crew. While it lacks the maneuverability of a dedicated fighter, it does maintain an advanced, hard-hitting array of weapons intended to keep the most fearsome Van Duel raider at bay. That's the turtle for you.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jawa. What were you going to say about the Terrapin?
Well, it's Anvil's answer, and but I'm looking at it as more of the behind the lines military, like a Marine recon vehicle that it can get in there, it can take some fire, but then it can fight its way out too. So we can get into some of those hotter LZs, hotter places where you want to get that intel or you want to get that data, and you get into these places and you can go in there under fire, kind of like some of the bunker missions that we go on where we're taking fire going into them. I think that this would be the vehicle for that. You could go in there, you could take the hits, you can dish some of it back, you can get what you want, and then get out.
Yeah.
It doesn't do data running. It's pretty much
intel.
scanning.
Yeah, it's scanning. It's scanning. I think even in the trailer here, they show that there's a fleet of ships that goes by, and they're hearing transmissions that are coming from there, and they pursue after it. Let me ask you a question, Fist. I've noticed something unique about these ships. The MSR has the same package too. The scanning position, for some reason, is always isolated into a space. Do you think that there's something being developed? Because you know how on the Terrapin, that seat is in the back, but it's like right in the center of the room. MSR, same thing. You go into the scanning room. It's all, you know what I mean? It's got that room around it with the seat there. Do you think that there's something that they're developing with that's going to be, whoever that tech is that's using that seat or that position might be doing something? Because I'm curious as to why all that space, is there,
Yeah, I think it's, that's the placeholder for all the, so all the screens can come in.
Yeah.
I think the MSR, I think it's coincidence in the MSR because that is one of the rooms that you could sneak into from the subdeck.
Right.
So I think it actually, when you walk into the room, the seat's right there, and then there's empty space, and you're like, well, why is there all this empty space? Oh, so you can hop up from the subdeck into that. So I think that's coincidental. But other than that, yeah, they have those dedicated seats. So, they specifically said for the MSR, it's a crew of 3. And there's 5 different stations, right? Pilot, co-pilot, turret, and scanner. And whoever's not the pilot's going to have to pick what they're going to do and be able to move around and do different stuff. And while the Terrapin's not necessarily that role, I definitely think it's going to be more of a kind of advanced dropship as well. Depending on if we're going to have the oxygen for the other people. But it's armor. It's almost like a small Valkyrie. It can scan, it can go in, and then maybe drop off a couple people and then bounce.
Yeah.
But it's I think the description was really, it has so much shields, bigger shields than any ship of its size, and all the armor plating, which makes it the turtle, and it's going to be able to bulldoze through hits instead of trying to dodge away. It's got that VTOL. It looks in the trailer here, it's got vectored thrust, which we know it doesn't really have, but it's a cool concept. I hate the ship right now because it's completely useless, right? The guns are 2 size 2 guns,
right?
And it's you're not going to fight in a Terrapin. You're going to take hits and run into things. But the concept is sound, and what it's going to do is sound, right? It's just another ship in that lineup, and for 2 people, fantastic ship. You know what I mean? One guy in the scanning seat, one guy in the pilot seat, going out there grabbing intel, and then being able to feed that back, share the mission type stuff.
Admiral Kusanagi put something in chat here, and it eluded me. He says that the Terrapin is also labeled as search and rescue. Which
I just noticed that as well.
Yeah.
And it makes sense. It makes sense because you're scanning, and
and I was thinking about what you were saying, Fist, about how you could go into combat situations, get in, take the punishment a little bit, get out. That's an interesting different way, because I don't think any of us really think about that ship in relation to if you had to send a ship in to go get somebody. Can't keep them on there all day, but you can get in and get out. Then why not, right?
Well, behind the lines.
Yeah, behind the lines.
You're not going to send. You're not going to send your Apollo behind enemy lines and taking all that fire to get there.
Right. Kalrati, any thoughts on the Terrapin?
So I was wondering, between the Terrapin and the Herald, in terms of similar to what they're doing now with salvage, and similar to what they did with mining. I was actually going to pose this question to you guys. Between the Herald and the Terrapin, let's say they implement hacking gameplay, and they may intend to implement that on the ship side of things, right? It could be the hacking gameplay or some kind of e-warfare, or further on the whole scanning and exploration and data gathering.
Wow! Hang on
between those,
we got a raid from Trip.
Trip
Rodriguez.
Man.
Trip, thank you so much, Trip. Thank you guys so much for coming over. Welcome to Soul
We got 240.
Citizens. Yeah, we had a great group of folks watching us tonight.
That's great.
Hey, gang, thank you guys for joining us with Soul Citizens. Trip, thank you again, as always. I hope you flew the stew out of those sticks tonight. But thank you guys for coming. We're talking about data and intelligence with our special guests, Fist and Jawa, and myself and Kalrati. So, go ahead and finish up. I'm sorry there. I just want to get in, Kalrati.
No worries, man. 69, can never go wrong with that. I was actually going to pose this question to you guys. With their plans on implementing some kind of let's call it data gathering gameplay on the FPS side, similar to how they're doing it with salvaging, and how they did it with mining simultaneously for FPS and ship. Which of the ships do you guys think, if they plan on doing this, is going to release with regards to data gathering gameplay on the ship side, if they were to release that with FPS data gathering? Or do you guys think that's going to happen at the same time or not?
So
Thanks for the follow.
are you asking when do you think data running is going to come out, or what ships it's going to come out?
Yeah. What ships, or what ship maybe, do you think if they choose to simultaneously implement data gathering gameplay on the ship side with data gathering gameplay on the FPS side, let's say hacking is released for FPS, and they plan on implementing, okay, let's implement some kind of data gathering gameplay on the ship side at the same time, similar to how they're doing with salvaging.
Yeah.
Which ships
So I would bet we would see some kind of multi-tool attachment. like a satellite, you point the laser and you can get people's conversation. I could see a device like that. I could see it do it at the same time because it would use the same system. And come out on the MSR, the Herald together at the same time, because those data running on those two ships should hit at the same time. It's the same system,
right?
And probably an FPS. But they would. I mean, that's a new gadget. Maybe it is a gadget. You plant the gadget, you stealth in, plant the gadget, run away, wait for it to collect, go back in, take it. That may have to wait for outposts or something like that. So maybe that would be the delay for FPS data gathering.
Interesting.
Okay, cool.
So you're saying kind of like the mining gadgets that'll be coming out, that you can plant one of those somewhere on a ship, in a bar or wherever, and then just kind of hang out nearby, or it'll sit there and record, and you have to go by and pick it up again.
Yeah.
So that could be the reason why they're doing their test of that is the mining gadgets. So that you set it up, you do play the little mini game on it to make sure everything's set up right. So you'd probably have to do about the same thing with that type of thing for one of those surveillance things anyway. Play some kind of little mini game.
Something to it. Yeah. Go Mob.
Or the hacking ship.
Oh, the hacking ship. Yeah. Hacking ship.
That tech's already in. So it depends on the intel you need and what the mission is, right? So you use the hacking ship to hack into their door at some outpost, and then you go grab that rare alien artifact, you bring it back, right? Or do you plan a bug to get the intel to figure out where this thing's at to start with? A lot of different options there.
The detective mission at Kovalex is a kind of a preliminary to what you were just saying, Fist. Remember how you used to have to go in for that investigation? Certain computer terminals you go to, you get certain data. There was that computer room that had all of the systems in it. So they were kind of playing with some real early ways of how we could later on start being able to extract information. Go Mob, one of our members of our team, said the Cuddy steel with a dish on top. That will be the next way that they will do it. Okay, that's what he's throwing in there for that. Okay, Okay, let's move on past the turtle. And and Fist has been talking about this ship all night, so we're going to go to him first on it. And that's the MSR. The MSR, interestingly enough, I've always seen the MSR as a data runner. Cargo, data runner, smuggling, kind of in that order. But it's also become, and maybe it's just for lack of what's in the game right now, a popular, just general purpose ship. And I think a lot of people have adopted it for that, but I do think that its strengths, as you mentioned earlier, Fist, are lying in what's going to happen when these other game mechanics come in. So why don't you talk about that a little bit about the MSR? So
it's probably one of my top 3 favorite ships, although I hardly fly it anymore, but it's a decent cargo runner, right? 114 SCUS storage. It's got shielded smuggling compartments. It's got the subdeck. It's, for its size, it's probably the most agile ship for its size. It's fast. It does, not a lot of guns, but when you get people in the turrets, now you have 6 size 3 guns. That's nothing to laugh at. It's got a lot of missiles. And it's just got a lot of gameplay associated with it. And it's asymmetrical, which I like seeing that type of stuff in the ship. The only thing I wish it had was a second entry exit hatch, which I think they're going to do some rework on it for that. And it seems like there's some unused space in the ship that could be better used for maybe something else. I would like to see the crew size increased to 4 instead of 3. I definitely think there's room in there to do that. And
you need a TV. You don't have a TV. You got the chess table, but you need a TV
We need a
in
flat
there.
screen.
You got to watch the
Mhm.
news.
There you go. There
You
you
got to watch. If
go.
you want to keep up with intel, you got to be able to watch the news. You got to have
Exactly.
a screen on the wall. Holy smoke! Yeah, but you're right. It's a gorgeous ship. It really is. And you brought out some real highlights about why that ship is probably why so many people do like it. But once those mechanics come in, I think it's gonna shine even more. Jawa, what about you? MSR, do you own one?
I sure do. That was actually my first non-starter ship.
Okay.
That was my first major real-life purchase. Got a little help from Fist, and then I did that, and well, okay, the rest is history. I've spent a lot of money, but I'm with Fist and everybody else. Those of you in chat, we need another door.
Mhm.
Trip Rodriguez said foot traffic through the server room is unacceptable. Agreed.
Yeah.
So currently, right now, I use it. I can put a rock and a rock DS in it and go mining.
Mhm.
And it's nice and nimble that you can get in some of those tight places with a lot of rocks.
Mhm.
But I am really looking forward to what we can do with either the data running or spying or whatever. I mean, what is the dish actually going to do? Is it going to be a parabolic listening device that you can listen in on things? Is it going to intercept satellite messages? Intercept messages from ships?
Yes.
Yeah. So Fist is saying yes.
Yeah.
But and then is the gameplay on it that you'll have to sit there and aim it, so you'll kind of dial in on I don't know.
Yes.
Fist doesn't remember this, and Kilt Rathy, you don't probably remember this, but Griff, remember when we had to aim our satellite dish at the satellite?
Oh, absolutely. For real.
Yeah, and you would go until you get the big signal, and we got a nice big spike signal and went running down there. All right, we got a great satellite to watch TV. No, it was a Defense Department satellite that we couldn't get anything off of, but it was the strongest signal out there. But I'm kind of looking forward to that. Just kind of aiming that dish around and
and forgive me for not having Kalrati. I'm sorry. Kalrati's supposed to read the intro to that, and please, Kalrati. I'm so excited to move on to this, but please tell everybody about what CIG has to say about the Star Runner.
All right, sure. The Mercury Star Runner. So the Mercury checks all the boxes expected of a dependable courier vessel, and then some. If you need it there fast and unscathed, you can't do better than the Mercury. Built with the same engineering and design principles that has made Crusader the go-to manufacturer for galactic transport on any scale, the Star Runner chassis sets new standards for data and cargo conveyance.
Okay.
So let me extrapolate on that. A lot of people they call it the MSR. It's called the Mercury Star Runner. However, this ship is the Mercury. The Star Runner is the chassis, correct?
Yep. Yep.
Just like a ballista and an Atlas, or the Spartan.
Right.
It's the Atlas chassis. We could see other variants of the MSR type thing in a different type of thing, and I think it would be cool to have because we don't know necessarily what all Crusader is going to do. They only have one more ship left that's been announced, and that's the Starliner.
Yeah.
And so who knows, right? This definitely could be just like in real life. With the Mercury in real life, you have an EA6, the EA6B. That's real world airplanes, but they have different missions and stuff, but still along the same line. And I think that's something that people overlook about the MSR is that we could have a Mercury something else or whatever. And a lot of people in chat are like, the MSR is not fast. And I think that's what I saw. And for its size, that ship's pretty quick. I mean, do I want it to be faster? Yes. It's called a Star Runner for a reason, but
Right.
at the same time, for a ship of its size, if you're trying to run it's a constellation because it's not that far smaller than a constellation. You're going to fly circles around it. So
Earlier
Yeah.
I was talking to you guys earlier about how when we were talking about the drones, and I was talking about CIG having to walk the fine line between, futurism, right? Those things that would be done automated by computers, we wouldn't have to do, but then also making sure that there's gameplay. And Jawa, you were talking about, does it mean that we would manually have to zero in with that dish, right? Because personally, I don't want it to be where we get in a location, hit a button, and as long as I'm within proximity, I'm getting data.
Yeah.
No, I do want that dish to have to rotate, and I have to do something with it to have somebody who knows and is skilled at doing it and knows what to do. Maybe even knows how to read the information that comes in, right? That little mini game you were talking about, this person needs to be somebody who, if I want somebody who knows how to scan, I'm calling Kalrati. You know what I'm saying? He can't shoot worth a lick, but he can read that scanner good. You know what I mean? So, I
could try.
Yeah, and because there are going to be people who are going to have expertise in certain things that they do. And it's not about this checking a box and moving up the level as much as it is his ability to utilize whatever a certain ship or MFD or whatever can do, which makes him valuable, right? And if he says, Griff, I could take an NPC. An NPC may take 45 seconds. Kalrati takes 22 seconds, right? He's worth his salt and money when I need to get in and out of there versus me saying, well, I'm just going to default to an NPC. So I'm hoping that, the human factor still dominates, even though I know in the future it could all be done, just by a couple of pushes of a button or even talking to the thing, right? We don't even need buttons anymore in the future. But I do hope that they maintain that so that group gameplay and interaction is highlighted in any of these ships, because Fist, when you walk through that ship, it's cool, man. When you go through that computer room, it's awesome. Yeah. It needs to be refrigerated like the 400i, but it looks cool when you walk through there, right? All those computers running. I love that. When I go on any of those ships where I see those data centers in them, I always think that is the coolest thing, which is why I think we will be able to hack. Because if you go on the Reclaimer, a lot of those ships have got these computer rooms. The Caterpillar's got those computer rooms. I think there's going to be some type of hacking built in for these ships that can break into the systems and find out stuff. But that's just me, y'all. That ain't CIG. I'm just telling you, that's what I think it's there for. Chris Roberts don't put stuff in the game unless it means something. So that's what I think.
Well, it's the first ship that ever had lighting that you can adjust.
Yes, that you can adjust and everything.
It has a lot of firsts in it. It's I think it's the first true asymmetrical ship. It's got a ramp versus a lift, which is always better for loading up vehicles. You can, if you park things halfway on the wall, you can fit in a lot of vehicles. And definitely has the best trailer with the reunion up there that's showing. That was amazing. I wish they would do more cinematics like that. I can't say enough good things about the MSR. It's such an amazing ship. I can't wait until data running is part of this repertoire of stuff. It really is a Millennium Falcon.
And also
it's so well rounded.
Given that Pyro is on the heels of release whenever, well, I guess that will be the next star system. For the size that the MSR is, I think as a cargo runner, especially, that's going to be a reliable ship. With how unreliable the star system can be when it comes to fueling and all those things. So I think for the size, who knows, that could be something that could be a go-to ship for players who are looking to gather data or get cargo, smuggle, etc. from Pyro to Stanton.
That's a good point.
I do want to get a picture of Jawa up there adjusting rabbit ears on the top. trying to find that satellite. He's trying to get us.
Listen. When you look at rabbit ears, there's some people around here who don't know what those are. You got to be real careful, Fist.
I have no idea what rabbit ears are.
Yeah, there's some people who have no idea what rabbit ears are. But
so
go ahead, Fist.
Before cable, Kalrati, radio waves came through the air, and you had two little antennas.
Two metal sticks that stuck out of your TV to get your signal, right? Absolutely.
And that's how you watch TV. And then sometimes you had to have the youngest sibling in the house touch one of them and then move their arm around so you could get. That was me, guys.
That's right.
I was the youngest.
That's right.
And I had to do this. And then my brother's like, don't move.
Don't move. Yeah, right.
I have to watch the whole show. Yeah.
Okay. Now you know. See, Kalrati, with what you missed out on, you should be very appreciative. Very appreciative. Okay, so let's talk about some other ways that intelligence and all this little surveillance and stuff could be done. Kalrati kind of touched on it a little bit when he mentioned about watching the person looking over their shoulder at the console, right? When the person was loading their ship up with Quantanium. Let's talk about it from the aspect of economic markets and smuggling, right? What are some ways that you guys see that intel, surveillance, and we're outside of the ships now, but and maybe you can include the ships in this however you want, but going to the TDD, what are some things that you think as far as intelligence, data, how can that be used? I'll give an example. One of the ones that we've talked about is the markets, for example, right? We know that those tickers are up there running in different systems, right? But the question becomes, how does that information get to you and your person so that this is the time to go sell something, buy something, trade something, right? How do you see this whole thing of intelligence and data being used in the game so that players are relying on other players, or maybe orgs are operating a certain way where they're able to delve into data and intelligence? And I'm gonna go to Fist first, and then we'll go to Jawa.
So I don't see it being very public, if that makes sense. I don't see a lot of. You're not going to trade it like a commodity at the TDD.
Mm-hmm.
I think the missions we're going to see it tied to when we have missions for it are going to be directly via the Mobiglass. Probably a lot of personal missions, because there are some legal personal missions, right? I think you're going to see it more on that than you are general. The general missions will be like Crusader needs you to go look at this base on Daymar and scan it for half an hour and then report back. But you're going to see the personalized missions being like, hey, go to this weird outpost that we're going to pop up and go surveil it for a little while, and then find this, and this, just like a box delivery. Go here, and here, and then figure out where they're going to go. You're going to have to listen into their whole thing, kind of like the Gundo mission, or where you have to actually find all the different stuff. And then I think we're going to see a lot of mission givers asking you to do that as well. Once we remember Eddie Parr was supposed to be in there one time. I think we'll see stuff like that. Like, and what's her name in Area 18?
Yeah.
Tisha or whatever. I think we'll see stuff
Pacheco.
from that.
Bring back Tessa.
Yeah. Tessa.
Yeah.
You want Tessa to come back,
And just I could definitely see things like that from a PvE side. From the PvP side, same thing. And then orgs, that'll all be creating your own emerging gameplay, and that's exciting.
Okay. What about, let me ask this, Jawa, and I agree with you, Fist, 100%. And I think I was when I was talking about economics, I didn't necessarily mean missions from the TDD, but I guess I'm referring around just economics in itself. How does intelligence and data step into that? So I want to go to, like I talked about the example I gave earlier, but smuggling. Jawa, how do you see intelligence? What does that got to do? Because I know, Fist, you were talking about earlier about the person at the bar, right? The bartender that you get that info from, right?
Right.
Yeah, maybe Jawa, could you elaborate a little bit that about smuggling? You see some things that could happen in game?
Well, yeah. Well, we already have that with some of the drug, some of the drugs that we could smuggle here and there, and then maybe other things that you need to get stuff from point A to point B. That's that hidden area inside the MSR. But I was also thinking, while Fist was talking, and you kind of brought it up, reminded me of it too, that maybe it's due to the reputation system, that the higher you are up in an org or a something in game, it's because we all get the commodity exchange things all at the same time. Maybe people that are further up, maybe it'll be like subscribers at your level 3 subscriber that, you get to see this first. So that's what I'm thinking. For smuggling, well, maybe some of the people want to be smuggled off of Hurston because they're tired of being indentured servants,
Yeah.
Everybody.
It could be. It could be used.
Everybody.
People. Yeah. I mean, and I guess, like, and so Fist's point, those could be like those PvE missions that he's talking about, right? Where you can get these missions that have to do with smuggling some people out, or
Right.
information at the bar that says, I need you to be able to go here. I guess I'm just trying to expand on the data collection beyond ships, and intelligence beyond ships. And what are those things that might happen in the universe that we also can take information, right, and apply it to a mission and ultimately get paid, hopefully.
Or, or maybe they don't pay you with UEC, they pay you with information now. That kind of, hey, you may want to, instead of taking that quantanium here, you may want to take it here. And so you land there and it's, oh my God.
Yeah.
I got a lot of money from that.
Yeah. Kalrati, any thoughts about that?
Yeah, Jawa raised a really good point there, and how like you guys were explaining, how it can be mission driven, because I envision that there will be a lot of orgs or NPC based orgs or factions, including sub factions. For example, we have a very diverse category of sub factions under Hurston alone. We have the mining, we have security, et cetera. And from them or each of them, they can have their own missions. And let's say we complete a certain mission, and they say, okay, we found this wreck that you can actually go to for a particular mission, or after completing a particular mission, and they think that they can be looped there, or some kind of critical information. Another one that can be player-to-player oriented can be, okay, you did a mission, you were sent to a particular location, you're not necessarily a trader, but that destination where you went to, it could have some really nice goods, or a really good location where a trading org can potentially make a lot more profit. But unfortunately, because they never went there before, they wouldn't really know about it. So you can actually get that data and sell that to that player org, and they can make a lot more profit by doing that. Of course, that'll be up to maybe how much that player may be thinking of selling that information. Based on the commodities that they think that org will make by going to that location and making those profits.
Okay.
Yeah.
One
more thing, Griff.
Sure,
sorry.
go ahead.
For economic impacts, and quantum weaving its way into things now. I think we'll see much more on the illegal side, the drug side, for smuggling.
Yes,
I think we'll see quantum being influenced by the amount of drugs that are brought to Grim Hex versus wherever the other questions asked terminals are, once they actually come back. And that, I think, will be influenced by this stuff. But as far as legal, I don't know if legal is the right word, but legitimate economic impact through other things, I don't think will necessarily be affected. But on the illegal side, yes.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So
okay, interesting. Okay, let me run this one past you. I'm going to stir the pot here a little bit. This is going to be a little bit more on the theory crafting side of things. Some of you who've been around a long time may remember that CIG used to put out its own newscast. This probably freaks some of you guys out when you see it, so I'm warning you ahead of time, okay? But they used to do these during the around the verses, and so this I'm going to bring one of them up and let you see it, and then we're going to talk about it, okay?
All right, old school.
Coming up on the Empire Report, peace talks on Charon 3 collapsed last night, sparking heavy fighting in both states. Delon Governor Tarquin Clast cites the attack as proof of Archeron's desire to continue fighting.
Ship insurance scams reach an all-time high. With millions of credits on the line, will the UEE intervene? If so, what could their involvement mean for you?
Controversy in the fashion world. Hawksworth's spring collection turned more than heads today. Lido Gary is live in London with all the details. All that and more on the next Empire Report at 2200 SET.
Okay, so that's a serious flashback there. Okay.
Yeah, look at Sandy, man.
I know.
Now I feel old.
He said, "Now you feel old, right?" Okay. So what I want to do here is talk a little bit about what this represented back in the day. We actually used to look forward to these, and we never knew where CIG was going to go with them. We didn't know whether or not it was something that was just there for our entertainment, whether it was going to be built into the lore. We really didn't have any really good solid answers for what it was about, but we used to get these from time to time. And I know we eventually would hope that maybe this would build into lore in some form, but this is real early stuff. This is like super early, right? The question I want to present to the panel is this. We've had people talk about ships like the Mako, right? The news van, and how players can use those news vans, not just to record, but also to report, right? And is it possible that CIG will work out something where people can, they record something with these ships, and they utilize it somewhere in the verse? We've seen them project things on the monitors, right? We've seen when the Javelin and stuff comes in. We've got people like Zark Media, a good friend of ours. Zark's putting out these like news things, right, of what's going on in Stanton, right? Could these things become elements of information, where there's information being in its own way discreetly put out there for the players to hear? Maybe because Fist happens to know about something that's going on because he's doing surveillance, he watches this Empire report and hears something that resonates, and he says, oh wow, there's a Easter egg that's been dropped in relation to this thing that I've just been following for the last 2 weeks, and they're actually talking, but nobody else knows about it because they ain't been doing what he's been doing, right? And I'm curious as to whether not only information but misinformation could become a part of intelligence and data. So let me go to Jawa on this one first. Jawa, what are your thoughts? Do you think that they could play up this propaganda news thing as a form of data and information?
Well, absolutely. Fist and I actually have a good friend, Susan Thunderstorm, and she is an investigative reporter.
Okay.
So, but yeah, no, definitely. I could, during the Gulf War, we didn't have that much ground troops going in there spouting out scouting out stuff, because we had CNN. They would go, oh, look, they missed this target that's between here, but they can't hit that because that's a church. There's a school and there's a hospital, but over here is a antenna array. And then okay, and next thing you know, the antenna array gets blown up. But I can see it for propaganda as well. Look at the Argo cargo. That was kind of propaganda driven, and it won an election.
Yeah.
So, could the media influence an election in Star Citizen?
Yeah, could they build that into the lore, right? I mean, we've got this whole thing where with the current Imperator, who's into intelligence and science and AI, somebody could come start spouting some other stuff, right? I mean, you could see how that could be manipulative to players, depending on if they want to listen, right? Fist, any thoughts? Go ahead, Jawa. I'm sorry, go ahead, Jawa.
But I'm thinking that maybe they ought to have like two different medias too, a left and a right media per se.
That'd be interesting, right?
So, and then that would kind of divide the people in game. Oh no, I listen to this channel. No, I listen to this one, and with opposing views.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. That'd be pretty cool. Fist.
So I did a review of the Mako, and it's supposed to tie into Spectrum, I believe, and then one day we're actually going to have a link to Spectrum in the game, and it'll tie into real Spectrum, and then we're going to hit guys like Zark and stuff. Who, if you guys haven't watched his newscast, they are actually really good. And you should go over and sub to him because it's awesome. But I could see that definitely be coming out here. I'm in Pyro. I have a 45-minute quantum jump. Let me pull up Spectrum and watch the news. What's going on at Pyro or what's going on at Ruin Station before I get there? Does Xeno Threat still control it? What's going on? And I could see different orgs having different channels in there, and maybe even using game economy to fund it. Like, hey, it's 1,000,000 credits a month to buy the space or something like that, and then people can log into your channel, and then you become a content creator in the game. Wouldn't that be crazy? But yes, I definitely think the information, and when org gameplay gets as crazy as Eve's gameplay, right? Then you're going to see all kinds of misinformation on there, and people trying to get intel. And I mean, the possibilities that not just the game developers, but that we, the backers, are coming up with that we can make fit into the current scope is just amazing, man. And that's what makes this game and the concept of this game and what should happen in the future so inspiring, so dramatic.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
It's great stuff. I mean, just the fact that there are these possibilities, right? I mean, that's the cool thing about it. And again, I think that if I look at CIG, how they're doing, and I'm just picking mining because it's our most built out career, but if they continue to extend that with every other career, then the things we're talking about could very easily be a part of what data and intelligence is. Kalrati, what were you going to say?
So the Empire report, from when I first saw it, it immediately took me back to the storyline in Freelancer where Edison Trent was looking at the television. I think he and Junko, and they saw that they were framed, or they were wanted, and that was the story on the news, and that made everybody turn against him. Like when they came out of I think it was the Manhattan Planet or so, and they were getting attacked and those things, they had to leave the system, and that kind of made me think, okay, let's say we aren't part of a particular faction, right? Let's say we're in Pyro, and some kind of dynamic event is occurring in Stanton. And to get that kind of, if we were part or had a strong affiliation with the UEE, then on our mission log, there may be some kind of accurate information that, okay, a certain dynamic event is occurring here, you have to go and fend off here, or these two factions may be at war. But if you aren't strongly affiliated with that faction, you'll have to rely on the news, right? To get some kind of information. It could be wrong, but you'll get some kind of information that, okay, Xenothreat, they're my buddies. And I may have to go leave Pyro and go to Stanton to assist them, but because of how inaccurate the information is on the news, you may be going to Yala as opposed to it occurring somewhere in Microtech, right? But the fact that you are still able to get some kind of information without being affiliated to the UEE gives the news makes it as another medium in which you can actually get mission-based information to get those missions.
Very cool. Yeah. Gladestone asked Kalrati, are you saying fake news is also the future? That's who figured, right? Right.
You never know.
Who figured, right? But yeah, disinformation could be a part of it. And I like what you said, Jawa, about left and right. We could have those people who are for the Imperator and against. There's all types of propaganda that could be used. And how players respond to that will be interesting, because you do want to have that organic kind of response. So they just kind of put it out there. And then, and boy, the lore team and them have got their jobs cut out for them, because to be able to respond to that in ways where they have to sit and wait, see how we respond, and then develop more for us, those breadcrumbs. But at the same time, not make it so it's so predictable, right? But that it is being driven by what the players do. So this type of information, I love that, Kalrati, what you're saying, just turning on something as simple as when you're sitting in one of those restaurants and those monitors are going and something flashes on the screen telling us about something. That's another form of information intelligence. And again, for that person who's into this stuff, they could see stuff way more than the average viewer. The average viewer just thinks, oh, there's something starting over here. But for Fist, who spends his time and money doing intelligence, he hears something. He hears an entirely different thing that comes out of that monitor, and is able to say, he's out of there. He's put it on my tab and he's out the door. So it'd be kind of cool. Okay.
Yeah. And then also, a couple months ago, we had a fire in part of the Denver area here. My phone was blowing up from my family out in California. They thought Denver was burning down. And and then other little things that sometimes the media makes it look bigger than it is. They had those uprisings in Greece, and I contacted my cousins that live there, and they go, "Oh, you mean the 20 people that are down there?"
Wow.
Well, the media made it look so much bigger.
Yeah.
So
There's over reporting and under reporting, right? Depending on how information gets out, and it'll be up to the player. It's like Kalrati's point. It's not until the player actually travels there to find out, oh, it wasn't at freaking Yella, it was at Microtech. You know, that's how you find out. But there's just enough there to spur a response in some form by the players, right?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Let's hit this last topic, because this is the bigger one. We saved it for last. I don't have any special graphic for it because there's nothing really to show a graphic for. But it's talking about intelligence and data when it comes to combat, military operations. And Fist, I'm going to go to you on this one to open that up a little bit. We talked about the Terrapin sitting in, listening, scanning. We got that example of it, seeing that fleet going by and following it. Give us some ideas of what you think can happen with data intelligence when it comes to combat, military orgs, that type of thing.
So let me give you a fun story. I've done 6 cruises on 4 different carriers around the world, right? And all of them were during wartime operations. And the military, like your average troop or sailor or airman or whatever, is not super informed as much as you think they are. When the second Iraqi freedom kicked off, I was on the Abraham Lincoln, and if you guys remember watching CNN during shock and awe when the bombs first dropped on Baghdad, I was watching the same thing, even though those airplanes were from my ship, right? And my squadron. And so we, we're like, oh, we watch them go away, and then they're dropping bombs tonight, you know. I was on the Carl Vinson when we brought Bin Laden's body aboard. He didn't know about it until we turned on the news, and all of a sudden they're like, oh, Bin Laden's on the Carl Vinson. We're like, that's why I can't go in Hangar Bay 3. And so and then you piece together stuff. So militarily, and really we're talking about orgs, because in the game, right, we're civilians, right? We're not, Squadron 42, that's what the military stuff's for. But we're going to be using military surplus ships, like a Carrack, like a Valkyrie, like a Terrapin, right? And going in there, and I really hope we have the mission opportunities to assist the UEE in doing things. And I think it'll really start to open up when we get Vandul in the game, Banu, Xi'an, maybe one day get the other one that the Xi'an don't want us to get to. As Jawa thinks they're Kalrati. The evil cat race. But I think when we're going to start helping, because there's definitely the is it the advocacy who's kind of secret police type of So there's branches of that on the intel side. We're going to be able to maybe take missions for and build up that reputation. Hey, go spy on this and scout out the Vandul. I need to know how many ships are in this area, and then later on, you're part of this raid, because there's gonna be raids and stuff. You're gonna be part of this raid mission. You're gonna have access to it to go destroy this Vandal King ship, but it's like a 10-part mission, and it's gonna require all these different types of ships, but you have to build up to that. And I think those storylines are gonna be the best part of the non-sandbox type of gameplay that we're going to be able to follow down, because I don't know if everybody knows, the whole idea is you play Squadron 42, you retire from the military, and then you become a civilian and Star Citizen, right? And so and you're still going to have those connections. You're still going to know those people that you were in the military with. They're going to be on different planets and stuff. They're going to probably be mission givers. Like Paladin ended up being in Wing Commander, things like that. These are all tried and true Chris Roberts ideas, and I see no reason that it's not going to make its way into the Star Citizen universe and Squadron 42 universe. So
nice. Jawa, Fist touched on something here. He says, and Gecko, thank you so much for the 500 bits. We really appreciate that. Thank you. He touched on this idea about how intelligence and data may not always be known in its fullest form, even to the people who are doing it, right?
Correct.
You know, how important is that going to be in orgs? You know, because I mean, there is kind of like a need to know kind of thing that can still exist, because as someone mentioned earlier, too much information gets out. You've got somebody inside that infiltrates. They find out, you know, the whole game, where you're based at, what you're going to do, what your plans are. Any thoughts about that, about security in Star Citizen? Because for those of you who played Eve, you guys know, as Fist mentioned, you have these different branches and people who do know stuff and people who don't. Do you see something like that similar in Star Citizen, that'll kind of be the way we operate?
I do as well. Being in the Marine Corps, no, I wasn't told anything. But you know, it's need to know. It's that's what you knew, is what you need to know. Now, if you're in an org and everybody knows everything, there's that chance that somebody's hanging out at Wally's. They have one too many, and they start blabbing, or they start bragging, hey, I know all this cool information. And, you know, it just takes that person camped out there looking over their shoulder, listening to them, like Kalrati said. And so, yeah, I think it should be compartmentalized. People that need to know, smaller groups. Because... yeah, if too many people know, it will. It'll just blow up. Yeah.
SC leaks.
Yes.
They're gonna be the data gathering org.
Yep.
That's funny. Kalrati, any thoughts about combat? You know, intelligence data. You know, what you see in the future for Star Citizen with that?
I really hope that there's a difference between the kind of data that it gather for combat in terms of risk. You know, for example, let's say, you know, we go into some kind of low-sec territory. You know, the kind of data that we get can possibly have a greater impact on some kind of event that may occur, as opposed to gathering the data for something else. You know, if you're in a high-sec territory, that will, you know, result in the outcome for some kind of combat scenario. Maybe, you know, by an org participating, sort of like a Xenothreat dynamic mission, where, you know, the more persons come together and gather this information in a very dangerous territory, then that could possibly change or lead to the outcome of, all right, the combat not escalating, right? So that can also be, of course, ingrained into one of the outcomes for the game. So it's not like we're kind of breaking the game, but it's just one of the results that can occur if we were to succeed in, you know, being in these really dangerous territories and preventing this from escalating further. Or if we fail, then it's war. You know.
Wow. Yeah, that's good stuff. You know, something that I heard a little while ago, I think it was the guys from oh God, the name of the org just flew off the tip of my tongue, but when I say them, you guys will know who I'm talking about. Mongrel Squad. We had one of the leaders from Mongrel Squad, the pirating org, on talking with us, and he spent a lot of time talking about data and intelligence from a pirating position. The amount of time that they have to take to, as you mentioned earlier, Kalrati, it's not just a matter of observing someone doing something, but following them. They said sometimes it may take them hours of following somebody around, having different people trade off until they know the right time to do something, right? Or collecting data, information about what an org is going to do or a group of people are going to do. You know, this thing about data intelligence can be, as you mentioned, Kalrati, from a combat standpoint. Fist, you mentioned it from the civilian standpoint with the PvE situations. Then we've got the piracy aspects. I think that the whole dynamic of data and intelligence, there's some work that goes behind it, is all I'm saying. You know what I mean? It's not just as simple as pushing a button and things are going to happen. There will be time invested, you know, by players. The rewards can be great. The information can be bad. You may run up against a brick wall, you know, after you've been doing a lot of looking and following and it goes nowhere. But then again, you can strike gold, you know, in the process. So I think they're going to be people who this is going to be their thing. This is going to be the career that they're going to be. They love the detective side, the figuring out side of this, the spying side of this, the espionage side of it. You know, and that's how they're going to make their money in the game. You know.
So I'll tell it. Jawa knows this person. There's a woman in the Cobra Force, and some of you might know her, Karen from accounting. And she's awesome. I mean, Karen's been playing for a long time, and she manages to, like, she killed the hologram at New Babbage. You know, she was able to get a knife and stab her and kill her.
Thanks for the subscription.
Karen, she had a knife out at Invictus last year. Some reason, so she's killing people looking at ships. She's able to get stuff like that, right? So she actually had, when she was more heavily involved last year before, she had like an assassination org. And
Wow.
So someone would upset her. And this was all fun and games. This isn't personal, but she'd be like, okay, I saw this person grief this person. Then she would go to her org and put a hit out on this person. And then she would pay them in-game UEC and then it was like 4 or 5 people going, like a hit was on this person. And they would find them in different spots and call out where they were. Next thing you know, it's dudes at Klesher, you know, and he didn't even know what hit him because people were following him around and doing intel gathering and letting people know. And then she paid him out because she had billions and billions in the game. And so that kind of stuff's been in for a while. And
Hit woman.
Oh, dude, yeah. Karen, even Cobra says she's the most dangerous woman in the verse.
Karen from accounting, yeah.
Yep, and I made the mistake of stealing her Cuddy Red one time. And I'm just... Yeah, I didn't even play for a week because I knew she was coming after me. So.
That's funny. That's funny. Well, guys, we've got a couple questions from our chat viewers, and so let's drop one of those on. One of them comes from Fizzy Shin. Asks another question. He had a good comment earlier. It says, is there room for a dedicated spy ship, not for data running, but for stealthy observation and collection? Do you think they'll create something that, you know, like how the Hawk, they kind of did that commercial where it's like that person who's out there trying to do bounty hunting? Do you think they'll create something that, and I know you mentioned the was the F-18, which one did you mention, Fist? The stealth, the ghost. You know, but is there something? But that's more combat. It's not combat. It's combat. But is there there's room for some type of sneaky spy ship kind of thing in the game? Maybe very stealthy. Like, got some type of, you know, scanning capability.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe Saber Raven, but
yeah.
I think they're opposed. Scanning and stealth are opposed to each other. Now you could definitely go full stealth until you got a scan, and then you're gonna light up like a Christmas tree. Yeah. I think there's room in the game for that, and maybe super stealthy. You're not a combat ship. You're not a Hornet. You're not a Saber. You know, and then you go in, and it's all passive. It's not active scanning. You're passively listening for signals, and and maybe that's a variant of something. I mean, I'm sure a Cuddy can do it, right? It'll be a variant of another ship. And Shimpasta says like a Blackbird, the SR-71, something that's crazy fast, and that could also active scan at the same time, and nothing's going to catch it, but it's not going to be dropping bombs. It's not going to be shooting down missiles, right? Something like that as well. Maybe another variant or a module to a Retaliator that makes it with a stealth hull. You know, put the Void armor that's on the Hornet Ghost. I think there's room for that. I'm not sure they're going to create another ship, but I think you're going to see it more in components and modularity to other ships. Jawa, how about an M50? Pretty much fastest ship in the verse, one of Jawa's favorites. That, you're probably going to have a high IR, but you're going to take off the weapons. You're going to stick on that scanning module, you know, that satellite dish on there, and you're just going to go super fast, start actively scanning. You're going to be lit up like a Christmas tree, but you're not going to be stealthy, but you're going to be real fast. So I think that's what we'll see it in, instead of necessarily just an intel only ship, because I don't see switching. You're going to want something to, even the Terrapin can have a little bit of defense, but
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I guess people would buy it. People will buy everything.
Listen, if they put a module in for the Retaliator that does that, I'll be glad to get it and to make my Retaliator be the ship to do something like that.
There you go.
Dead Meat throws a question in. He's thrown in. It's not in the queue thing, but I will read it because it's a good question. He says, "Do you think that players will have a gameplay of info broking players' coordinates of their locations that are maybe out mining or doing cargo missions?" And I think, Kalrati, you kind of referenced that earlier, right?
Yep. Yep. I hope so. I hope so, because it goes back to the whole thing where after, I spied over the person's shoulders and we saw, okay, they're loading the Quantanium. It was Quantanium onto the Connie. And I told, my buddy outside of the station, they were in the Herald, okay, look out for a Connie loading or a Connie spawning. And that, brought me back to, okay, if we were able to kind of access some kind of information from the Connie about the nav points, and we can know a possible destination of where the Connie is going, then we can actually communicate that information or sell that information on some kind of black market or so, and say, okay, these are typical or possible trade routes that persons who may be in that area of piracy may not necessarily know about, and then they can say, okay, let me purchase that information, and they can actually just exist within that trade route and possibly snap something that's pretty valuable in terms of cargo or in terms of minables, etc., etc.
Good stuff.
So how about let's add on to that, and let's, a lot of MMOs have like an auction house.
Yeah.
But now you're talking about the dark side, the pirate side of it. But you have that black market auction house that you have to have a certain rep to get into, and that's where those guys are trying to make a little profit. So hey, I saw this org out here mining at these coordinates near the Aaron Halo. 10 grand, and here's the coordinates, and it's 1 day old. So there might be possibly Ryan's out there, or something like that. And I think, like I said, all these little systems are intertwined, and that would be pretty easy tack, I think, and it would be cool to put in there.
Because for example, just to add on to that too, one of the concerns, for example, could be if the players aren't necessarily existing there anymore, would that information sell? And it still could, because, for example, with Quantum, we have probability volumes. So let's say the players themselves were led there because of the information from those probability volumes to go and mine there. So even though the players may not necessarily be there after a day, they may still be NPC cargo or NPC miners that the criminal players may be able to make a profit from. So that whole auction house and the whole, that kind of aspect of it on the black market can still be profitable.
That'd be very cool. Very, very cool. Okay. We got a question from CHAX18. Are there any we talked about PvE. Are there any PvP connotations gameplay that will be included with data and intelligence? How do you see PvP, player versus player, in relation to data intelligence? I know we talked about orgs, right? But is there anything that you see maybe that's more one-on-one or small group in relation to intelligence?
Well, I think that's more the hacking aspect. But like we were just talking about that dark auction house, that pirate auction house for information. Hey, I think it's more going to be, because PvP is talking about killing other players, right? Or stealing from them. And it's going to be, where can I find this person? And I think that's where it's going to tie into. I need to track down Java Sparky in game. Someone saw it. Maybe they put out a hit. Hey, looking for info. I last saw this guy over at Daymar, and his quantum vector was Area 18 or ArcCorp. And then you head that way and you paid 500 credits for that. Who knows?
You're going to see Karen from accounting have like 20 on list.
When you see her, you'll be like, oh, I was told not to mess with you. So
Okay. We got one more question here, and it's
Yeah.
from Admiral Kusanagi. He says, do you think that a land vehicle, like a larger hover quad, could be used for data storage, could be created, something like that? I mean, moving, I know we're getting into this whole thing of CIG's now getting this thing with rivers and roads, is that going to be another form of maybe moving data around, that we get a vehicle that actually somewhere, I know that is it the RN scans?
Yep, RN.
It's the RN that scans.
Yeah.
Reconnaissance one.
Yeah,
Yep.
reconnaissance. Is that something that we could maybe think about, that maybe the bikes become modular in some form? I don't know. But I think that's what Admiral's asking.
I think it's inevitable.
Yeah.
We were talking about it last night with Paul, that as much as this game is supposed to be a space sim, I think they really want to show off their planet tech, and once we get those roads and stuff, and it's going to be like, okay, now we're going to have this the semi truck going down, or a train robbery, things like that, that we're gonna be able to use scanning and intel to do that kind of stuff. I don't know how much sandbox open world stuff we're going to have with it. I think it's going to be a lot more mission based, but definitely I think the sandbox stuff is out there. I just don't know, you're going to have to find someone to give the information to who wants to buy it, versus a mission where it's kind of built into it.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Jabba wants the Ranger RN, right?
Really?
Yeah.
Want to ride your motorcycle next to the
he wants the motorcycle. That would be cool. That would be cool. All righty.
Yeah.
Well, listen, Ruthless. Thank you for the resub with the Prime. for 3 months. Thank you, and thank you everybody who's been following and dropping little things in the chat today. I know we had a lot that's been flying by. I've been trying to keep up with it, but you guys have been sharing some really, really cool ideas in relation to this whole thing with data and intelligence, and we're hoping that CIG, we already know that the scanning thing is something they've been working on, so I'm hoping that once they get this scanning thing locked down, we'll start moving more into this other side of data and intelligence, because scanning looks really cool from what they've showed us so far, and I'm really hoping that ships like the Terrapin and then the Herald MSR, those things start becoming things in the game, not just used for cargo and moving around fast, but that their actual mechanics are operational for us to enjoy.
Well, hey Griff, how about, like they showed in the Citizen Con, this idea just popped in my head. We are at that outpost, and we're walking around, we grab all that intelligence, now that we, at that point in time, we have FPS scanning. We grab that intel, then we have to take it, or we do it in our Cyclone RN, right? We scan all that stuff. Then we have to load it up into the ship, take that intel out, plug it into the MSR server, have to decrypt it, right? Then we get this info. Then we take the MSR, fly over to here. I could totally see that being this really cool mission chain.
Absolutely.
And that it involves everything from FPS to vehicle to ship, and everything has its piece. And then, I think that's the scope of what they're going for with tying all these systems in.
I'm thinking about what you were saying about ships like that MSR. You've got this great computer system in there, right? The Herald even has really cool stuff in it. You get the information off your vehicle, off your bike, whatever it is, right? You first of all, you want to get it off you, period, because if you get killed, it's gone, right? So you get it into your systems. But what happens now is that once it's in your systems, what if you're able to do things like you mentioned earlier, the key card, something that allows to put that information, you still got it on your hard drives on your computer, but you can now sell that data and that information to other people. Maybe it's coordinates to a location, some random place that we don't even know about, where you can go do trading at, it gives people coordinates of how to get there. One of the things that we talked about this on the show before, the Banu legacy about their merchantmen. One of the things that a lot of people don't know about it is that it has a hardwired navigation system in it. Because their ships are passed down from generation to generation to generation, all that information is retained in their navigation system. It's the only ship that does that, right? Now, whether we're going to get them that way is another story. But in the lore, that's why they pass them down. So that you don't have to go back and find all that information that your grandpappy found. It's already, 2 or 3 generations of information that's there, right? So think about your MSR. Fist, right? You've been months out there pulling data and information, but the sucker gets destroyed, right? You know,
Yeah.
what happens to all that great data that you had?
Mhm.
You know what I mean? That you've been profiting off of it, making. Will they give us some way to offload it? Will it be once that ship is gone, it's gone? You know, there's a whole lot of things that are open ended. You know, as to what all because those computers are not there. They're there to store stuff. You know what I mean? For you to keep that information. So yeah.
Well, I was also thinking that, you know, if somebody paid you for some data, you take it to them. How do they know that you scrubbed it from your hard drives and you're not going to sell it to someone else?
Yeah, that's a whole nother thing there. But it's a good point. It's a very good point. Absolutely.
Thanks for the follow.
Very good point. I think Fastcart put one more question in. He said, "Oh God, with the computing power of the MSR, will we be able to play Star Citizen without lag?" Okay, that's going to be the final question that we have for today. Listen, we want to tell you guys about some information, some things that are coming up. We want to say, first of all, thanks to Fist and Jawa for being here tonight, bringing in some real world expertise, especially with them being in the military, kind of giving us some good ground to start talking about what's real, and then we can start speculating into the theory crafting. Man, you guys added so much to the show today, and thank both of you guys for being here. These are great guys. You guys make sure you all watch them. I'm gonna let them plug their show in a minute, so get ready to write down their information. But what I do want to plug for you guys is that we have an event coming up. Some of you all know that we have sponsored, along with Yacht Club in the past, we've sponsored the Virtual Bar Citizens. And we have a new one coming up on the first weekend in April. We always try to make them the first weekend of the month because it's easy to remember versus the middle of the month. But on Saturday, April the 2nd at 4 p.m. Eastern time, we're going to be having another Virtual Bar Citizen. You guys can register for it. Fast Card is already on it. He has dropped the link in chat. These are done via Zoom. So if you guys want to participate and come in, you can. These are not streamed. They're not live streamed. So you got to be there to participate. But we've had such a great response from people in the community. We've had folks from CIG be there, like Tyler Whitkin's been there. Jared Huckabee, Discolando has been there. Jake has been there, who handles the roadmap. I mean, we've had what's the guy's name? Do you remember Kalrati, the guy who does the stuff from Spectrum? I can't think of his name.
Oh, underscore.
Yeah. We've had some really cool people from CIG who come and hung out with us.
too.
Yeah, so yeah, if you guys want to come and hang out with us, it has lasted as little as 5.5 hours. It has lasted as long as 11 hours, and that was torture.
Oh, wow.
So we have a blast. So we're doing this one in April. Then we're going to be doing another one 2 months later at the beginning of June, which will be post Invictus. So that'll be when we'll be getting together to talk about that. So again, sign up for it. It's free. You guys get to hang out with us and have a great time with the folks from Yacht Club and also from Soul Citizens. And that'll be coming up April the 2nd, Saturday. Okay. So weekend gigs. So it's easy to do. Okay. Other than that, let's talk about what else is going on. Let me first of all let Fist and I got to put Kalrati back in because he had disappeared on me earlier. While you guys are talking, I gotta have my buddy in here with me. Why don't you guys? I don't know if it's Fist or Jawa who wants to do the plug for you guys' show, but please do. You guys tell us a little bit about you and where we can find you.
Hit it, Jawa.
Well, you can find us every Thursday, 7 p.m. Mountain Time on YouTube and Twitch. Fist and Jawa. Just look that up on YouTube or Twitch. And then on Sunday mornings, 9 a.m. Mountain Time, that's Java with Jawa. And we're just on Twitch. So, and then Fist has, he just pops in there every once in a while, which is kind of Fist After Dark. And we've been jumping in there and playing some just different games as well, and just having a blast with that. And so hit us up on one of those, and then you could also join us on our Discord, and you can find all of this information at fistandjawa.org.
Okay, awesome. We've dropped their Twitch in the chat there, so you guys make sure you all like them, follow them. They're very, very cool people, very well informed guys, and they're buddies. They've known each other a long time, and you can tell it when you watch them on their stream. They have such a cool chemistry together, so make sure you guys support them and check them out. Okay. Let's see, Kalrati, anything you want to share before we get out of here? Anything you want to tell the folks?
No, just we appreciate everyone who's here, who's listening. We hope we're able to enact or evoke some nice information. Thanks a lot for all the questions and all the answers and all the information from your end too. And definitely check out Fist and Jawa, Jawa and Fist. Yeah.
Jawa and Fist and Jawa.
And yeah, tune in for more Soul Citizen stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. By the way, guys, we want to remind you all that on Thursdays, 10 p.m. Eastern, we do our Soul Talk, which is hosted by Fastcart and whoever else is around, usually me, but sometimes there are other members of the team. We have moved that from Twitch to YouTube. This will be our third week that we are over to YouTube, and we've been having a great time there. You guys helped us kick it off really big a couple weeks ago. It was great to have so many people come out and support us there. We know some of you guys, you float between both of them, so it's not a big deal, but we just want to remind you because there were some people who showed up the first week and said, where's everybody at? We're going over at YouTube. So you guys join us on Thursdays at 10 p.m. Eastern time for Soul Talk this week. And you guys know we talk about ISC, we look at Machinima, and we have a group conversation with folks who just drop in and hang out, and they get to talk with us. And then next Sunday, continuing with our series Shipyard. You guys know we've been doing the background and lore on the different ship manufacturers, and next week we're going to be covering Apoa, Argo, and the Bandu. So we're going to be covering 3 manufacturers, and we want to say thank you to 97.9 for that resub. Thank you so much, 97.9.
Oh yeah.
Thank you. So that'll be next Sunday, so if you guys can join us for that. We do want to give you guys a little hint this week. Watch us on Twitter. We have a new show that's going to be coming out that we think, Kalrati, are they going to like the new show? Are they going to like it?
They're going to like it real good.
They're going to like the new show, right? We're going to have a new show that's coming out on Saturdays. It's going to be on Saturdays at 12 noon. I'm just going to give you that little hint. That's all I'm going to tell you right now. But you're going to start seeing posts go up this week for it. And then next week, we're going to give some details on it. And it's a show where you can participate and have a lot of fun with us. So we are excited about this new show that we're going to be doing as well. And that's about it. We want to thank everybody who hung out with us tonight. Thank you to all the people who gave us those wonderful raids. Thank you guys who hung in there and supported us tonight with your comments, with the subs, with the follows, with all that good stuff, with the bits and everything. Who is that? Spartan. Thank you for that follow as well. We appreciate that. And you guys have been just awesome tonight for us.
Raid. Who we gonna raid?
Okay, who we gonna raid? All right. We are going to raid. Who are we gonna raid? That was Whammer telling me to shut up and start the raid. We are going to be raiding. Yeah. No, my moderators have already given me somebody. They've given me Almost Over. Oh, I get the name now. Almost Over. Okay, I didn't get it for a second. All right, we're going to be rating Almost Over. When you guys get over there with Almost Over, be sure to, if you like what you see, follow, send some love, let them know that you came over from the Soul Citizens. And we hope that you guys have a great week. Thank you again, Fist. Thank you again, Jawa, for being here tonight. Yes, sir. Kalrati, thanks as always for being here. And we will see you guys. Well, we'll see you guys hopefully next week. All right.
Can I do it?
Yes, you can do it.
Yeah. Peace, love, and soul.
All right, gang. We'll see you guys real soon. You guys have a great week. All right. Take care.
See you, buddy.
Take care, everybody.
All right, bye.